Hello friends, welcome to the lectures of heat transfer. In the last lecture, we have seen what is the meaning of heat transfer, what are the applications of heat transfer, industrial application, in space application, domestic applications, home utensil, and many more. There are thousands of lakhs of examples and applications of heat transfer that we come across in day-to-day life. Since at everywhere there exists temperature, somewhat non-zero temperature, right? Everybody into this universe has somewhat non-zero temperature, and if there is somewhat temperature difference between two bodies, there exists heat transfer. And the study of all such heat transfer that we are going to study in this entire subject. We have seen some applications, and in this lecture we will start off with some of the terminologies and the modes of heat transfer also we have seen in the previous lecture. And out of these three different modes of heat transfer, that is conduction, convection and radiation, one of the mode of heat transfer, that is conduction, that we will see, and perhaps we have seen it earlier, but one of the basic rule which governs the heat transfer by conduction, that law, that is the Fourier's law of heat conduction, that we will see in this lecture. So starting with the heat transfer, or say the word heat itself. Now if we are having a system like this, with this can be any system, and this system has somewhat thermal energy, or we can say it as this system has somewhat internal energy nearby it. Now it has the thermal energy, it means that we can say it has the heat energy, it possesses the heat. But whenever this thermal energy is get transferred to another body in any of the way, if there is a transfer of thermal energy, we say this transfer of thermal energy as the heat transfer. We say the transfer of the thermal energy from one body to another body due to the virtue of some temperature difference. Say this body may be at temperature T1, this body may be at temperature T2, and there will be somewhat there will be somewhat thermal barrier in between these two systems. Then there exists a transfer of the thermal energy from one body having higher temperature to another body at lower temperature. Then transfer of the such thermal energy, we say it as the heat transfer, right? Now let us see some of the terminologies used in case of the heat transfer. Now consider these two bodies as it is, same I have taken, and if I bring these two bodies in contact with each other, when the first body is at the temperature T1 and the second body is at the temperature T2, in that case, obviously if T1 is more than T2, obviously the heat will start to flow from this body to this body, from the higher temperature to lower temperature. This heat which is get transferred, we are going to indicate it by the letter Q. The heat energy, this is what the heat energy, or say the heat transfer, or say I will say it as the thermal energy, or the heat energy. Thermal or the heat energy, that is Q. It is the total amount of thermal energy transferred, or say it is the total amount of heat that is transferred in somewhat given finite time. This is expressed in terms, now as it is the energy, so energy means what? Its SI unit will be joule, abbreviated as capital J, which is the symbol for the energy, joule. And the dimensions will be the same as that of the dimensions of the energy. The dimensions will be, as the dimensions have the dimensions of the energy is M1, L2 and T minus 2. The dimensions of all the energies will be the same. This is what the total heat transfer, or so the total thermal energy transfer, right? Next is the rate of heat transfer. The second terminology is the rate of heat transfer. What is this rate of heat transfer? rate of heat transfer. Rate of heat transfer, we indicate it by Q dot. Now the dot over the head of Q itself means that it is the time derivative of the term Q. Time derivative of the term Q means this is dQ by dt. That is, now see, this is what Q dot. Q dot is nothing but what? It is the time derivative of the term Q. It means what? dQ by dt. It is nothing but the rate of transfer of heat per unit time. Now we know this is what? This Q is expressed in terms of joule and T is expressed in terms of second. So it is joule per second will be the unit for the rate of heat transfer, or we can also say it as it is watt as the unit of power and abbreviated as capital W. So this is what? The rate of heat transfer. How does the rate of heat transfer and the heat transfer itself are related? They are related in this way. The rate of change of heat transfer with respect to time, we say it as the rate of heat transfer, right? It is expressed in terms of joule per second or in terms of watt. Next, now in a case, one more thing, in a case if we want to take down the total amount of heat transferred from one body to another body in some finite period of time, then see, depending upon the temperature difference, the rate of heat transfer over here can be different, say Q dot can be different. So if the heat started to flow from the time T1 to the time T2, then how much is the total heat transferred from this body, the first body to the second body? That we can get by the equation. The total amount of heat that is transferred from body A to body B, or say first body to second body, is given by, if I take down a very small period of time, say like dt, and during that much period of time dt, how much is the heat transfer rate, that is the rate of heat transfer. If it is Q dot, then I can take down, this is Q dot into dt will be the heat transferred within the short period of time dt. But if I want to get the total heat transferred within from time T1 to T2, then I need to integrate this within the limits T1 to the limit T2. And here this equation will give you, remember that here is there is a dot over here, dot over the head of Q, that is the rate of heat transfer into dt, and if we take down the integral within the limits of T1 to T2, we will get the total heat transferred from one body to another body within that given time delta T, that is from T1 to T2. So this is all about the heat transfer, rate of heat transfer. Now moving on to the next topic, that is the rate of heat flux. This is the term that we will be using very often in the entire subject heat transfer, that is the rate of heat flux. The rate of heat flux normally represented by the letter Q, small q. Now what is this small q? Small q is the rate of heat flux. I would like to define it as the rate of heat flux is nothing but it is the rate of heat transfer, that is Q dot. Remember, I would like to write down the terminologies we have seen. The first terminology we have seen is that the heat transfer. The second terminology that we have seen is that the rate of heat transfer. The rate of heat transfer. The heat transfer, the total amount of heat transfer was represented by the letter Q, capital Q. The rate of heat transfer was represented by capital Q dot. Dot represent the time derivative of that term, that is dq by dt. And the third one is the rate of heat flux. The third one is the rate of heat flux, and that is represented by small q. So small q, the rate of heat flux can be defined as it is the rate of heat transfer per unit area which is perpendicular to the direction of heat flow. So this can be also written as this q dot. We know this q dot means this is dq by dt into 1 by a. So its SI unit will be, this is in terms of joule, This is joule per second per meter square. So I can also write down this as this joule per second per meter square as it is watt per meter square will be the SI unit used for the measurement of rate of heat flux, right? So this rate of heat flux can also be written in various ways. So this Q as equals to, it is capital Q divided by T divided by A, that is also equals to Q dot divided by A. Remember, this is the dot. I hope this is visible to you, right? So this is all about the terminologies, the common terminologies that we are going to use in the subject heat transfer. Now the next topic is steady state condition. So this steady state condition is very important for the subject heat transfer, since in wherever there is a heat transfer, it will be either it will be the steady state heat transfer or unsteady state heat transfer. I will explain that with the aid of an example. One example, and that example is, if I take down a metallic rod, say this is the metallic rod, this is the metallic rod. Now this metallic rod at the beginning, you have taken the metallic rod from your cupboard, from your laboratory, and the room temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. Let us say the room temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. Obviously the temperature of this rod will be also 20. The temperature of this rod will be also 20 degrees Celsius. But when you start to heat this one end of the rod with some heating source, the temperature of this rod will start to increase, maybe, about 20, maybe 25, 30, 40, 50, like that. And after that, after this point, if I take down various points along this length of the rod at different locations, if I check out the temperature using the thermocouples, you will find that the temperature of these points, like point 1, point number 2, point 3, point 4, at every point, the temperature will keep on increasing. At the beginning, I checked out the temperature of this at this point was 20 degrees Celsius. After maybe 5 seconds, it became 25. After some time, maybe at one instant, let us say the temperature over here is becoming 100 degrees Celsius. Over here, it may be say 90 degrees Celsius. Over here, it may be 80, something like this, and so on. Finally, somewhere over here, 20. Now, if I continue the heating over here, and if I observe the temperature at any one of the location, either here, anywhere or the entire rod, if I check out the variation of the temperature of at any point on the rod, and if that temperature is constant with respect to time, if this is 100, now 100 temperature is reached and that is constant, that is not changing. So that we say it as the steady state condition. But at the beginning, I told you at the beginning, when the temperature is still increasing, now it is 100. After a few seconds, maybe it is 110, 120, 120, 130, and if that temperature is changing, so ये temperature change हो रहा है, ये भी change हो रहा है, ये भी बढ़ रहा है. Every temperature is changing over here. So that condition, we say it as unsteady state. Unsteady state heat transfer, in which temperature is the function of time. Remember this is the capital T representing the temperature, this is the small t representing the time. In the unsteady state heat transfer, the temperature at any location is the function of time, whereas in case of steady state, heat transfer, the temperature of the body, or say any point into the system, is not the function of time, and that is the condition for the steady state heat transfer. इसका example मैं बता देता हूँ. Now if you heat it continuously, not heating, you have kept this end of the rod into the furnace and this end of the rod into the ice box. So the temperature over here will be always 0 degrees Celsius. Temperature over here is, let us say it is always 200 degrees Celsius, and the temperature of, if I plot down the temperature graph, if I show the variation of temperature, it may be something like this. So, and that is not changing. At this third point, let us say the temperature over here is, मान लो कि 100 degrees Celsius. So in that case, that 100 degrees Celsius temperature will remain same for the entire time, if you take down the temperature at point 3 at one instant, maybe after 10 seconds, 1 hour, 2 hour, 10 hour, every time the temperature at this point will be the same, that is 100 degree Celsius. अगर मैंने दूसरे किसी जगह पे चेक किया, यहाँ पे टेम्परेचर क्या है, let's say it is 50 degree Celsius. So it will remain 50 throughout whatever the time you are performing the experiment. So that is what the steady state heat transfer is. I hope it is clear to you. This concept of steady state we have already seen in case of fluid mechanics also, and in that case, in that subject I had explained the concept of steady state with reference to the fluid flow. The next terminology, or so the next concept is unidirectional heat flow. Unidirectional heat flow or heat transfer. Now unidirectional heat flow, or say we also say it as a one-dimensional heat flow. It means the heat is flowing only in one direction, and the heat flow in other direction is is not there, or say negligibly small. Now if I take down one example, say first of all let me show you what is three-dimensional heat flow, and from that example you will understand what is one-dimensional heat flow. Say this is a cube-like structure, and if I heat up only this corner of the cube to a very high temperature, and that to a sudden change in the temperature of the entire block is about 20 degrees Celsius, and suddenly if I increase the temperature of this end to 200 degrees Celsius, then obviously the heat will start to flow in this direction. If I consider this as the x-axis, the heat will also start to flow in this direction, which I am going to consider over here it as the y-axis, and also the heat will start to flow in this direction, which I am going to consider it as z-axis. So in this example, the heat which is there, the source of heat, maybe some source is hitting this end, so this end is at the higher temperature, this point is at 20 degrees Celsius temperature, this point is also at 20 degrees Celsius temperature, this point is also at 20 degrees Celsius temperature. So the term we say, that is the temperature gradient, that we will see afterwards. Temperature gradient, it is defined as dt by dx, that is nothing but what the rate of change of temperature with respect to the distance, also with respect to the coordinate in that direction. So there exists a non-zero temperature gradient in this x direction. It means that dt by dx, वो here मैं यहाँ पे separately लिख देता हूँ, here dt by dx is not equal to 0. It means there is a non-zero temperature gradient along x-axis. So there will be somewhat heat flow in x direction. I say it's not small q, capital Qx dot will not be 0. In a case if there is a the temperature gradient along y-axis, it means that dt by dy is also not equal to 0. So Qy dot will be also not equal to 0. And same is the case for the next one is, that is dt by dz is not equal to 0. It means there exists a temperature gradient in z direction also. In that case I can say this is Qj dot is also not equal to 0. It means that there exists heat transfer in x direction, in y direction and z direction also. Now this I am totally telling you which is against this unidirectional heat flow. This is three-dimensional heat flow. This is the case of three-dimensional heat flow. Right? Now I will tell you something else. What's that? Now if I restrict the flow of heat in other two directions and allow the heat to flow only in one direction, then that will be the case of unidirectional heat flow. How it is? if I'm having a metallic rod over here, and this metallic rod, here is the metallic rod, we have maintained the temperature of this rod at T1 degree Celsius and temperature at this end at T2 degree Celsius. Next, the lateral surface of the rod is provided with the insulation, and consider this to be the perfect insulator. This is insulation. Consider this to be the perfect insulation. Now, as there is a temperature difference, T1, if I take down this T1 is more than T2, so the heat will start to flow in this direction. Say, heat flux will be there from T1 to T2. But remember, this lateral surface, the curved surface of this rod is surrounded by the insulating material. So there will not be any heat transfer taking place in this direction. Q in this direction will be equal to 0. Right? Now, if I take down the coordinate axis like x-axis, y-axis and z-axis perpendicular to it, then I can surely say that the heat transfer that is taking place in x direction is not equal to 0, whereas heat transfer taking place in y and heat transfer taking place in z direction, they are equal to 0. Along with that, you can also prove that if I take down any of the section, over here, section of that rod, and if I check out the temperature at this point, this point, this point, this point, it will be the same and will remain same with respect to time also. For example, if the temperature at this point is 100 degrees Celsius, this will be also 100, this will be 100, this will be 100. But if you take, now this is the section number 1. But if I take down another section, section 2 over here, say 1 and 2 we have already taken, so let us take on section A and section B over here. So you will observe that the temperature, if you take down similarly, if you take down the temperature at various points across the section B as well as section A, at section A we consider the temperature at every point to be equal to 100 degrees Celsius, and there was no change in the temperature of this point, this point, this point, or this point, or say any point along the section A. Whereas at section B, the temperature is little less than that of the temperature, say this is at the temperature TA and this is at the temperature TB. Now, everywhere along that section, the temperature is being the same, everywhere it will be the same, it will not change with respect to time also, but this TB is less than TA, it means that there is a decrease in temperature in this direction. It means the temperature gradient dt by dx has somewhat non-zero value, whereas dt by dy is equals to dt by dz is equal to 0. The temperature gradient in y and z direction is 0 and there exists temperature gradient only in x direction. And under that condition, we can say that it is the unidirectional heat flow or say one-dimensional heat flow. I hope this concept is clear to you. So, going ahead towards the next topic, that is the Fourier's law of heat conduction. I forgot about one more term, one more terminology, and that is the temperature gradient. What is this temperature gradient? I'll say this as TG, abbreviated as TG, which is temperature gradient. Now, what is this temperature gradient? If I take down a metallic rod and if we maintain one end of the metallic rod, let us say directly you have kept it into the furnace. So, it is maintained at the temperature T1 and this end you have kept into the ice box, which is maintained at temperature T2. Obviously, the heat will start to flow from the hot end end 1 to end 2, and the heat will continuously keep on flowing. At the beginning, it will be unsteady heat flow, but after some time, every point will reach a one particular stable temperature, and then onwards we can say the heat transfer is under steady state. Now if the heat transfer is occurring at steady state, at that state if I take down the rate of change of temperature with respect to any direction, I would like to write it over here in words. The rate of change of temperature with respect to the given direction. With respect to the given direction is called temperature gradient. That's it. It's called temperature gradient. What does it mean? The rate of change of temperature. I mean, it is the change in temperature, that is delta T. The rate of change in temperature with respect to change in given direction, or say with respect to the distance in given direction, or say displacement in given direction. If I take on this direction as x direction, this is the x direction, then with respect to x direction, how does the temperature is changing? So that is the term delta x over here, divided by delta x. It means that if I take down any one of the sections, as this is the section A, or say section 1, and let us say this is the section 2, this is the section 2. If I check out, let's say this is TA and TB. If I say this as the temperature T1, this section is at the temperature T2, and if I start to take down the x coordinate from this reference line, this is the direction of measurement of, this is the direction of x axis, and the x coordinate over here, here is the x coordinate of this point, and that is x1, and here is the x coordinate of the point, this point, and that is, let us say it is x2. In that case, the rate of change of temperature, it means change in temperature. If we move from the section 1 to section 2, the change in temperature will be delta T divided by delta x. और so change in temperature मैं इसको ऐसे लिखूंगा, finite change in temperature, that is T2 minus T1 will be the change in temperature. And how much is the change in the distance in x direction? That is x2 minus x1, that is the x coordinate of the section 2 minus x coordinate of the section 1, that is x2 minus x1. So here is x2 minus x1. This I can write down it as delta T divided by delta x. Now if I put down the limits for that, if I bring this gap, see this is what delta x is. ये आ रहा है अपना delta x. That is what the distance between these two sections, and that is delta x. And if I keep on reducing that delta x to a very small value, I can put down the limits for that term over here, that is delta x tending to 0, and in that case I can write down this term as limit delta x tends to 0. This is delta t by delta x, and this I can write down it as, it is simply dt by dx, and that is nothing but the rate of change of temperature with respect to x coordinate, and that is known to be what? The temperature gradient in x direction. In the similar manner, we can take down the temperature gradient in y direction, that will be dt by dy, and the temperature gradient in z direction will be dt by dz. So this is all about the temperature gradient. Okay, we didn't mention about the SI unit. Okay, one more way of getting the value, the magnitude of dt by dx, or say dt by dy, I will tell you. Take on the same example of metallic rod, and somewhat heat is get transferred from end A to the end B. There is somewhat heat transfer rate taking place, and that too under steady state. If I plot the graph of variation of temperature with respect to x direction, let us say these are the points, and if I take down various points, select point number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that, and if I check out the temperature at all these points, and if I plot the temperatures over here, so this end is at this much temperature, and all these points are at different temperatures. Like this. And if I plot the temperature at point 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, like that, say temperature over here at this end is this much. See, this is the variation of temperature with respect to the distance x. So in this case, the temperature at the end, this end is this much. Temperature at the next point is maybe somewhere over here. Temperature at this point may be somewhere over here, here, here. And if I keep on plotting these points, so I'll be getting these points. And if I join all these points by a smooth curve, I'll be getting a curve like this. And now if you take down the slope of the curve at any point, let us say the slope of the curve at this point. So how to get the slope of the curve? Draw a line tangent to that curve. So here is the tangent. Here is the tangent. And take down tan of angle theta that is made by that line with the x-axis. And I think this is the angle theta. And if I take down tan of this angle theta, how much will be this? This much will be the part. This much part will be delta t and this part will be delta x. So if you take down the slope of temperature to the distance graph, and if that slope will give you the slope over here, m is nothing but the slope that is equals to tan of theta, and that is equal to delta t by delta x, which is nothing but the temperature gradient. The temperature gradient along x direction. Well, about the SI unit, I think this delta t by delta x will have the SI unit. The temperature will be in terms of Kelvin and x will be in terms of meter. So Kelvin per meter will be the SI unit for the temperature gradient. Now let's move ahead to the next topic, that is the Fourier's law of heat conduction. Actually, this term temperature gradient has to be taken before explanation of the unidirectional heat flow. But anyway, it's very easy to understand, so I hope you will get it clear. Now let us take down Fourier's law of heat conduction. This, I will say, this is one of the most fundamental law of heat transfer. Like in case of mechanics, Newton's laws of motions are the foundation, also the base of the all mechanics. And in the similar manner, this law, the Fourier's law of heat conduction, is the base of the entire heat transfer by conduction. As far as you are there in conduction and conductive mode of heat transfer, everywhere you will be using the Fourier's law of heat conduction. Now, what is this law? The statement of the Fourier's law says that the rate of heat transfer through any homogeneous medium is directly proportional to the area which is normal to the direction of heat flow and is also directly proportional to the temperature gradient in that direction. So this is what the statement given by Fourier. The meaning of that statement is, if I again I would like to take down the same example. Say this is a metallic rod, and this metallic rod is maintained at a temperature difference. This end is at higher temperature and this end is at low temperature. This is at high temperature, and this end is at low temperature. So obviously the heat will start to flow from high temperature end to the low temperature end, And condition, one more condition that I forgot to tell you, that is this, the lateral surface of this rod is insulated. It is provided with the insulation. Now obviously the heat will start to flow from this end, hot end, to the cold end. Now, what Fourier's law says is that, Fourier's law of heat conduction says that the rate of heat transfer, that is Q dot, he said it is the rate of heat transfer, that is, it means the heat flow per unit time is directly proportional to the area which is normal to the direction of heat flow. In this case, if this is the direction of heat flow exactly along the positive x-axis, then the area which is normal to the direction of heat flow means what? It is the cross-sectional area of this rod. But remember that not necessary every time it will be a cross-sectional area. The Fourier's law says that this area, it is the Q dot is proportional to the area which is normal to the direction of heat flow. Remember that it is not the surface area. In Newton's law of cooling, we do take down the heat transfer rate is directly proportional to the surface area of that object. So over there it is the surface area, but here this area is the normal area. I would like to write down N over here. This is representing the area normal to the direction of flow of heat, and it is also proportional to the temperature gradient in that direction. So that is, if the heat flow is in x direction, so how much is the temperature gradient in x direction? That is dt by dx, and I think we have just seen this term, dt by dx. So this is what the statement for the Fourier's law, the mathematical statement for the Fourier's law. Now if I remove the proportionality sign, I need to bring a constant over here, and that constant, I will say this Q dot is equals to, a constant over here is minus k into A into dt by dx, and this is one more equation for the Fourier's law, where the term k over here is, I hope most of you are aware about this term k. Term k over here is a small k, and it is the coefficient of thermal conductivity. Coefficient of thermal conductivity. It means it is this is the property of the matter which allows the heat to flow through it. That is known about the coefficient of thermal conductivity. Okay, from this equation we can also get the equation for thermal conductivity, but after, this is coefficient of thermal conductivity, or it is also simply known as the term thermal conductivity. It is thermal conductivity, or as far as we are there in heat transfer, we will simply say it as the conductivity, right? Now in this equation number 1, if I take down this term A over this side, what I will get is, I will get one more equation, that is Q dot by A. Now what is this Q dot by A? We have just seen that it is the rate of heat transfer per unit area normal to the direction of heat flow. We say that as small q, where small q is the rate of heat flux, and that is equals to, look at this, that is equals to, it is minus of k into dt by dx, and here we are having one more equation for the Fourier's law. This is also one more form of the Fourier's law. So this is the equation number 2, right? So out of that we have seen one term, that is small k, where small k is the coefficient of thermal conductivity, or it is also known as simply the thermal conductivity. We will see what are the units and dimensions, and what is the meaning of this thermal conductivity. Now one important thing is, we have taken a minus sign over here. Now why minus sign? This is due to the reason, if you check out dt by dx, now this is dt means what? The change in temperature. If I take on dt over the entire length, how much is this? This is T1. How much is this? This is T2. So delta T over here will be, in this case, delta T will be, I'll show it over here, delta T is equals to T2 minus T1, but as we know here in this case, T1 is more than T2. Since heat is flowing in this direction, obviously T1 has to be more than T2. So if T1 is more than T2, so delta T means what? The final temperature minus initial temperature. Final temperature, that is T2, which is less than the initial temperature T1, which will be negative. This will be negative. ये जो term आएगा, that will be negative. So this dt by dx will be, entire term will be negative. But we cannot say the heat transfer rate is negative. उसमें मतलब इसका meaning आएगा कि वो opposite direction में है, right? And just for to make it positive, we have taken a negative sign over here, so that this negative sign and this negative sign will cancel out each other, and we will have q dot, the heat transfer rate, or say the rate of heat transfer, to be a positive value, and it will also give you value of k as also positive. Since k is negative, there is no meaning in saying k as negative. Remember, this is not the sign of k. K का sign नहीं है, right? So this is totally different one. My negative sign is totally different, and that is simply taken to make it neutral. I mean, इसका नेगेटिव साइन को नल करने के लिए वो नेगेटिव साइन लिया गया है. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द फोरियर्स लॉ ऑफ हीट कंडक्शन. नाउ लेट्स मूव अहेड टुवर्ड्स द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक. व्हाट इज द टाइम? Okay, I think all of we should stop over here. We will see what is this thermal conductivity K, what is its unit dimensions, and what is its importance. How does the term K changes with respect to temperature for various matter, for solids, liquids, gases, for conductors, insulators. That we will see in the next lecture. Thank you for today. See you in the next lecture. Bye bye.